Starr FM. I am Tutuwaa Danso. Let's see the stories making the headlines this hour. And coming up in this broadcast, National Coalition of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill bemoans slow pace of hearing of the anti-LGBT Kill Plus bill as they urge the Supreme Court to expedite action despite legal vacation.
We are worried that you might end the year with no substantive ruling. And the investment in this particular bill, 3 years, it has the highest number of members, hundreds of amendments. It's such that it's of a critical importance majority of Ghanaians.
Also coming up, Individual Bondholders Forum rubbishes apology by Finance Minister over domestic debt exchange program, asserting the move was premeditated. Meanwhile, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etiahene says the apology is a political gimmick.
At the time you were borrowing, you knew where you were taking us to. It is only when the distraction comes in, you look at those of us who are vulnerable, and then you want to apologize. How long have they taken them to apologize? How long? The DDEP happened in 2022.
We will head to the Volta region where ECG customers stage protests against company over what they describe as outrageous monthly tariffs.
We are using Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, as fixed energy meters in our premises as a measuring instrument is to measure what we consume. It is therefore unreasonable to have these energy meters in our homes to measure our daily consumption, but still we are receiving outrageous bills.
We will be live with our Volta regional correspondents for more updates on that. And later tonight on your election hub, we bring you up to speed on what is happening on the campaign trail and sits with a member of parliament for Tema East. Meanwhile, Institutes for Economic Affairs to hold presidential debate in October and November 2024 for some selected flag bearers in Accra and Kumasi.
As I said, we're trying to bring everybody to the table, but we are determined to organize the debates. So in the end, whoever offers to be part of it, we are determined to organize the debates. And we believe that we'll get candidates to participate in the debates.
We have the details of these and many other stories in this broadcast. Do stay.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Thank you very much for choosing us this evening. We start off the broadcast with some legal-related issues, and the National Coalition of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill has bemoaned the slow pace of hearing of the anti-LGBT plus bill. They urge the Supreme Court to expedite action despite the legal vacation. Now, on July 17 this year, a 5-member panel of the Supreme Court of Ghana, chaired by her ladyship, Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokonu, deferred ruling on 2 cases brought to it seeking to restrain Parliament from transmitting the pro-family values bill to the presidency. Now, the panel stated that they would incorporate their ruling on these cases into the final judgments. The group is urging the Supreme Court and the Appeals Court to sit during the legal vacation to hear the case, considering the sensitivity and public interest. Let's now get some reactions and engage the chairman for Advocates for Christ, Ghana, and member of the Governing Council Board for the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, Edem Senanu, for more on this development. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Senanu.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, what exactly are your concerns? Why do you insist that the Supreme Court should sit despite the legal vacation?
No, well, we have looked at other jurisdictions and identified that in all other jurisdictions, many of the Commonwealth jurisdictions, you find that arrangements are made, as it were, to promote and respect the right to speedy justice, delivery, and effective one, such that you don't have a situation situation where there's no continuation of access to justice services. We think that we run the risk of losing all the effort and investment in this bill if we don't have the courts sitting and doing that speedily. So that's a major concern.
But do you fear that the legal vacation may cause the trial to delay?
Well, yes, because our understanding is that it typically lasts into October. Now, the implications of that and whether between October and December the courts will be able to dispense of the cases before them in a way that allows the bill to be passed. It's a very tenuous one. It's a very risky scenario we see. And so much work. Parliament itself, the travels to other countries to compare the 176 memos, the 100 amendments. So much work has gone into this that it would really be unfair for any branch of government not to do what it ought to be doing in the interest of promoting the best, whether aspirations of these people, of the citizens of this country are.
Right. Now, let me just pick your thoughts on this quickly. The former president says that there are some portions of the bill that needs to be reviewed. And so he's asking the president to take it back to Parliament for a redress. How do you react to this?
Well, that's the normal course of any bill. The bill was supposed to be the president. If the president finds that there were some sections they thought should be reviewed, that should have then gone back to Parliament with the stated portions. That's part of what the article says. And so it's a shame that we got into. In fact, that's the process that was supposed to address any issue that needed to be said. So it's a shame we've gotten ourselves into legal arguments, legal cases, proud to the president even having the opportunity to make comment on it. I think that has just been a delay in the process which could have been avoided.
Now, as you rightly indicated, there have been so many investments in this particular bill. If the president fails to assent to the bill, what is going to be your next line of action?
Well, we're not waiting for that. I mean, as it is, we're already mobilizing. So we are likely to find Christians, Muslims, and traditionalists on the street within the next 3 to 4 weeks. Because we have over 90% of Ghanaians who have a position on this matter. Let's not forget that Article 1.1 clearly states that sovereignty is in the hands of the people who repose it in the government. Whatever exercises we do of our power is supposed to be in the interest and for the welfare of citizens. And so ultimately, it's the Ghanaian citizens who must decide what happens.
Now, one of the proponents of this bill, that is Honorable Sam George, says that he is going to embark on a process to impress on the Chief Justice to expedite the trial. As a group, as an association, will you support this move?
Well, we're all part of that mobilization, and that's actually what I was alluding to. Last week we went round. We already spoken to the Chief Imam, to the traditionalists, and we are just mobilizing. So it's not just Sam George. All of us who've had a stake in this thing that the people of this country should not be taken for granted. Let's make sure that we get this thing done, let the courts rule, allow the president to do what he needs to do, and let's make sure that the investments in this are not thrown to waste because some people have gone on holiday, so to speak.
Thank you so much. Edem Senanu is the chairman for Advocates for Christ Ghana and a member of the Governing Council Board for the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. Let's move away from legal issues and do the economy, because the Individual Bondholders Forum is rubbishing the apology by the Finance Minister over the domestic debt exchange program, asserting the move was premeditated. Now, the Finance Minister, during a town hall meeting on Tuesday, apologized for the financial haircut, describing it as a necessary evil. Take a listen to him.
We decided to restructure our debts because it was one of the requirements by the IMF. We started with the domestic debt exchange program. The domestic debt exchange program was a very successful program, achieving 95% participation. And on this note, I would like to appeal to the people of Ghana to forgive us. To forgive us. It is never the intention of any government to impose hardships on its people. More so, the MPP government that has demonstrated that we want to reduce the burden of the Ghanaian people. And I will show why this government has, from the beginning, tried to reduce the burden of the Ghanaian people. That same government cannot impose hardships on the same people. It was a necessary, very important decision at the time that if we avoided it, our economy will not recover such as it has recovered today. The decisions we made and all the support you gave us, the people of Ghana, during the DDEP has contributed largely to the recovery our economy is seeing today. And this is why I want to appeal to you to forgive us. But also to thank you, the people of Ghana, to thank you on behalf of the president for the sacrifices, for the efforts that you all have made in participating in the domestic debt exchange program that saved our economy. And so I thank you very much for that support you gave to the government.
Mohamed Amin Adam is the finance minister, but banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etiahene has described as too little, too late the apology by Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam over the introduction of the domestic debt exchange program. Now, Dr. Etiahene insists the apology is just a political gimmick. He spoke to my colleague Lantan Papanko earlier on Star Midday News.
You don't cause a mess and then come and tell us you are causing a mess. In 2018, I was speaking at Kimpiski, a lecture, and I told the minister that the way he's borrowing, a time will come, we have to pay through our nose. 2018, I did a lecture at Kimpiski. You can go and check. I gave a lecture on this, and I told him that the way you are borrowing and not putting in a productive use, we're going to pay through our nose and ears. And lo and behold, it has come to pass, especially the pensioners. If you go to buy a drug, we go to pharmacy to buy your drugs. You cannot even afford. Since we used to buy 200, it's now 700. So you apologizing. What are you apologizing? Are you compensating those who are suffering? I mean, so for me, that is why I say that from a pensioner point of view, I don't just accept it because people knew exactly what they were doing and the mess they were causing. So to come and apologize when it was only about 3 days ago when one of your country, political person said that we need to apologize, and it means when you apologize, there is something in a good book. You said there is a difference between repentance and remorsefulness. What you're doing is that you're not repenting. You're only showing remorsefulness so that people can see that you are saying something. What is happening to people who have lost the investment? They have lost it. When you were borrowing, we asked for 5%, one in person. I said it in a forum, and I was even insulted by so many people. But when it did happen, my brother, people call me and say, are you a prophet? I am not a prophet. Because the trajectory we were going at that time, that is the end point. I mean,
Doc, do you accept the explanation that the finance minister gives about the circumstances that the country found itself in and why the domestic debt exchange program became necessary in order to save the economy, among other things?
Yeah, I agree with what he's saying, but he's saying you caused a mess. And then you said you were pleading with us to go and do what you wanted to do. It means that you were not proactive in your borrowing. If you were proactive, you would have seen somewhere then that there was no need. That is why I have a standard. If you knew exactly what you were doing, there was no need for you to come and apologize because you have not apologized since 2022. This debt exchange started in 2022 December. Nobody has apologized. Now that it's time for the election year, people want people to know that we have sinned. No, you believe, if you believe in your sin, continue to sin. Not coming for me, as a pensioner and speaking for pensioners, it is not something we can easily accept. No.
Right. Before I let you go, Dr. Tutuwaa, the domestic debt exchange program nonetheless has been done. People have their haircuts. And as unfortunate as it is, it was called a necessary evil. Do you see it yielding any positive results for the economy?
Well, I'll give you some free data, and which people keep on saying that yesterday or so I heard that inflation has been brought down to 15% by the end of the year. When you took over, inflation was 15.1. So if you're bringing it to 15.1, considering the time, it is no news to me. But the comparative analysis one would have to understand. Anytime you're talking about this economy and what we are doing, begin to ask yourself, what is the rate of inflation in your next neighbor, la Côte d'Ivoire? As I said to you, in May, it was 4.2%. Togo, 7.9%, except Nigeria, which is rocketing. So if you're thinking you're doing something, then you should do what you call comparative analysis to see that you're good. Your 15% even projected in December, which I don't think it can happen because of the energy prices, electricity, and fuel and depreciation of the currency.
Right.
When people say 15, I don't even believe that because it cannot come just like that.
Right.
So for me, the economy may sound good to some people, but for me, if you ask me of my candid opinion, it will take us quite a long time, about a year or two, before we can see this rippling effect in the economy.
Well, let's get more reactions and go over the phone lines and engage one of the people who was hit by the debt exchange program. That is Yao Owusu-Breffo, who is an individual, the convener actually, of the Individual Bondholders Forum. Thank you so much, Mr. Breffo, for your time this evening. Now, the Finance Minister has apologized. How do you react to his apology?
Good evening, my dear sister. The apology comes too late. I don't know what they expect us to do with it. It is of no effect to me personally.
But the government has admitted that it did your association some wrong. Is that not the way to go?
As I say, it comes too late. For people who have lost family because of that debt exchange, what did they do with this apology? Government was very reckless to the extent that they borrowed up to a point that they did not know how much they had borrowed that got into this situation. That seems to me like a deliberate something to do. So they can't come at this point and say, we are sorry. Sorry that what? So that you mess up people's lives, so that people lost their lives, so that people's education was interrupted, a whole lot of things. I mean, they feel that Ghanaians should be able to forgive them and just renew their money. That's how come they come with such a statement. But to me, it's of no effect. It's of no consequence.
If I may put it this way, how then can the government appease you?
I doubt there's a way to do that.
So, I mean, moving forward.
There's any way to appease us.
Right, so
I'm sorry, but personally, I think this apology comes too late. It's of no consequence. But, I mean, there are some people within the group who might feel that, well, they have come clean right now. What do we do? Let's move on.
So, I mean,
I don't think that's it.
Right, you say the apology is a little too late. Moving forward, what are you going to be doing?
Oh, no. At this point, I think our course has been fought well enough. People who tendered in their bonds are on the new ways being paid. Those who did not tender in their bonds are still being paid in some extent. We don't have any outstanding with the government right now. So we have moved on. Life goes on. We are picking it slowly once at a time.
Right, thank you. I appreciate your time this evening. Yao Owusu-Breffo is a convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
You are still listening to Starr Today here on Starr FM, and let's head to one of our headline stories in the Volta region, where consumers of electricity in the Ketu South municipality of the region have staged a massive demonstration against the Electricity Company of Ghana over what they describe as outrageous monthly tariffs. Now, several affected customers joined in the demonstration earlier today, urging the Electricity Company of Ghana to address their concerns. Some of the affected customers, most of whom are non-commercial consumer households, have outstanding bills ranging between 2,000 Ghana cedis to 10,000 Ghana cedis. Now, these staggering amounts, according to them, are way above their consumption level. The group, after the demonstration, presented a petition to the Denu district manager of the ECG and made a couple of demands. Let's listen to them.
The anomalies in this billing system are hurting us to death. The recent Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, has fixed energy meters in our premises as a measuring instrument is to measure what we consume. It is therefore unreasonable to have these energy meters in our homes to measure our daily consumption, but still we are receiving outrageous bill in the name of predictive or estimated bills. we want to put it on record that we are law-abiding citizens and are ready to pay for what we have consumed as recorded by the meters fees by the company itself in our homes and shop. In this view, we demand that this blatant violation of our rights as consumers, which undermine the very purpose of metering, should stop immediately. We are demanding the following. The problematic billing software should be suspended, replaced, or modified to ensure accurate reading and billings. The disconnection of customers with errors in their bills must stop with immediate effect until they are resolved. Make prepaid meters optional for those who will wish to have prepaid meters. ECG should audit, this is very important. This boils down to criminality. This ECG should do audit of meters at the areas under the new ECG, that is from Aplau to Avedakpa, because there are a lot of illegal meters in the system, making the government to lose a lot of revenue.
Well, let's go over the phone lines and get some reactions on the ground, because Faisal Abdul-Idrisu is our regional correspondent and he's joined us for more on this development. Faisal, thank you. Now, what more can you report about this?
That's fine. Excuse me. Yeah, this morning when we met...
Faisal, kindly position yourself properly so we can have a conversation.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Right. And so the affected customers who turn up today showed us bill sheets from ECG. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Faisal.
Good. So the that had a started between 2,000 Ghana cedis to 10,000 Ghana cedis. That is for non-commercial household consumers. And of course, someone told us that they ran small shops and that shops and their shops, for instance, for a month, they are not able to even make thousands of profit, but the bill they are getting from ECG is between 2,000, 10,000. I'm mentioning this. We are told that I estimated bills from ECG. These are very staggering and outrageous. So when this morning they marched, they had to terminate their work at some point, address the press, and then the leadership of the group was allowed by the police to meet management of the ECG to present a copy of their petition. In that petition, they are demanding from ECG to correct the anomalies that have since escalated into what they are talking about in terms of the abnormal bills they are receiving. They are also asking ECG to audit their meters. They told us earlier today that several meters in Tutuwaa are illegal meters brought from Togo and Nigeria. And these meters are also in the system, which is known to ECG officials. And that government is losing a lot of money as a result of some of these illegalities. They also told us that staff at ECG are engaged in some criminal conduct. A number of them, they outlined in their petition handed over to management, and also caution management on the basis that their staff are disrespectful to them. They sometimes abuse them verbally, especially when the old persons, people in their old ages go to the office for some of these clarifications. They end up being abused verbally. But above all of these issues, they are telling us that even though they've been crying to ECG for several months over this issue, they are not really getting any clarification on why they are receiving these outrageous bills.
Right, Faisal, thank you so much for those updates there. Faisal Abdul-Idrisu is our man on the ground. Now, from the Volta region, let's head to the Eastern region, where the Member of Parliament for Isio, Jaman Thomas Ampem-Nyako, has inaugurated a state-of-the-art health centre in the new Pomu community to improve access to quality healthcare services in the constituency. Now, the facility, which is the only hospital in the district, serves patients from other districts as well. There are more details on this report filed by Eastern Regional Correspondent Kojo Ansa.
The 400,000 health centre commissioned at New Pomu by the MP for the area, Thomas Ampeminyako, consists of 10 bedrooms and comprehensive departments including maternity wards, a labour ward, male and female wards, a laboratory, OPD, and a pharmacy. The facility aims to improve healthcare delivery and reducing pressure on the VRA hospital, the only hospital in the district which serves other surrounding districts as well. The Sojaman District Health Director, Mrs. Rebecca Bante, praised the new centre for its potential to provide essential services such as clinical care, maternal and child health, emergency services, and preventive care. She emphasized that the facility will not only save lives but also elevate the quality of life for many individuals.
To recognize the critical role this health facility will play in this community and beyond, it is equipped to provide a wide range of essential health services from clinical care, maternal and child health, emergency services, domiciliary health promotive and prevention. This facility will not only save lives, but also improve the quality of life for countless individuals. Lastly, to commit ourselves to the ongoing mission of network of practice, a strategy being adopted by the Ghana Health Service to achieve universal health coverage, UAC, at the primary healthcare level, with a focus on improving quality healthcare services, partnership and innovation, which involves creating networks of health facilities within a defined geographical area to provide comprehensive health services.
MP for Esojaman, Thomas Ampeminyako, commended the new Pomu community, including Nana Akuwa, the chief, for their support and highlighted the facility's strategic location to ease the burden on the VRA hospital. He noted that the project was a result of collaboration with the community and funding from a friend.
And the results that we have seen has been as a result of proper collaboration between myself, the community, and my friends who provided funding for this. Funding was provided by a mate of mine from KNUST and his company. And when I sent a request to them, they said, okay, if this is what we want to do for your community, we will stand by you and we will support you. And so I'm grateful to the Dustin group of companies for supporting me with over 1 million cedis to construct this modern health center. The health center is equipped with a lot of modern facilities. There is a very good laboratory in there that will help serve the people that will visit this place. And so this is an excitement for everybody in this community. And I'm happy that the community contributed communal labor and also bought some furniture for this facility. They have demonstrated that they own this project.
Health workers were unveiled to immediately operationalize the facility, which has now been officially handed over to the Ghana Health Service.
You just heard the reports filed by our Eastern Regional correspondent, Kojo Ansa.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
You are still listening to Starr Today. We will be right back after this. This is your Simply the Best station, Starr 103.5 FM, and EIB remains your 2024 election hub. As you may be already aware, at the end of the last month, we launched our 2024 election coverage plan, where we will be bringing you up to speed on the variety of election-related programs to ensure you make an informed decision when you head to the polls to cast your ballot on December 7. Well, on Starr Today, we take you on a campaign trail. And with 122 days to election 2024, you are still listening to your election hub. Now, the NDC's flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, has been in the Upper East region for the past few days. His fiercest opponents, the Vice President and the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, recently wrapped up on the first leg of his Eastern Regional campaign and is preparing for the launch of the party's manifesto in the Central region next week. Other parties are finalizing their presidential candidates as the Electoral Commission will accept nomination in September. And independent candidates are lacing their boots, hoping to create an upset. We will bring you up to speed on what is happening, but if you live in Tema Community 1, Tema Manhian, the Fishing Harbour, Tema New Town or its environs, or you have friends and family who live or vote in that area, you should keep your dial logged here. Because in the next few minutes, we will be sitting with the Member of Parliament and NDC parliamentary candidates for that area. Now, has he performed to your satisfaction? Will you give him 4 more years? And is he confident of the chances on December 7th? We will be asking that and more with Isaac Ashai Odampton, the Member of Parliament for Tema East. Remember that we are live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM. And you can also send us your WhatsApp questions on 055 288 0216. Again, 055 288 0216. This remains your election hub, and let's get started on the campaign trail. And seated next opposite to me is the Member of Parliament for Tema East, Isaac Ashai Odampton. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Great. So how are your constituents doing, first of all?
First of all, we want to thank God for life. We want to thank God for his benevolence over my people in Tema East constituency and also the entire Tema traditional area. As you are well aware, we are in the annual Homowo season, and Tema East is the heart of the Tema traditional area. And so around this time, we extend our season's greetings to people of Tema living in and around Ashaiman, in and around Ajay Kojo, Klagong, Lashibi, Sakumono. You can talk about Zenu, you can talk about Kubeklo, Sasabi, and Adegon. I mean, to mention a few of the original Tema communities. Right. Of course, in recent times, we've seen the sprawl of the area, and so we have other communities springing up like Atadika and others, which are basically part of the Tema traditional area. And so may I use your platform to extend season's greetings to the Tema Traditional Council and all the functionaries around the Tema Traditional Council for the annual Homowo festivities.
But are your constituents ready to celebrate the Homowo? Are they talking about economic crisis?
Yeah, they are. Okay. But obviously, in Ghana we say Ablekuma, Abakumawo, and so we.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean the hospitality of the Ghana. We open our arms for all and sundry to cohabitate with us, and for the people of Tema, largely our contribution towards the hospitality extends to how we graciously offered a chunk of the Tema acquired area, which now houses the Tema Harbour, which is a major economic sustenance of our country. And so, of course, we have all people, the major tribes of Ghana living in Tema. And so Tema is a strong cosmopolitan area, but we have not lost our tradition.
Right.
And that's why seasons like this, we open our arms for even the non-indigenous to participate. And I'm happy to be, supporting the Traditional Council in every way to make this year's festival grand. Permit me to mention the Awudun Jase, Ashaman Jase, the Ida 2 Temaman here, Bonfire Youth Group, which now is Peshi Bonfire, because now it's going to be the entire community coming together to give light and give some historic, storytelling to reenact our original settlement in Tema. Many people have thought that Tema is Nkrumah's land, but I mean, my dad was born in Tema before Nkrumah, came to get the land for the port and to develop the Tema Township. Right. And so, afi, miha Tema wikume fen shine, obuade wikunu pa fen ke Tema shine wujin fen ni ye homowo afi ne fen afi dron. Ne minshi Tema Traditional Council bi fen akono. Agbede me fen ni your Tema. Na meka mehe wo homowo ka afi kokruma ni fe momrie minshi amekono. Ne mimba ho ake afi ne homowo ni fe mo eji srotoko ne sani mefe ni yo gang ke Ghana fe ke man se fe akwa Facebook alo meni ba nye ameba na mba ye pepe ameba na mba ye pepe ye Tema homowo ho ni ba ne no ni the 9th of August is the day for Kwekwe. Thank you for the opportunity.
Right. So let's move away from the Homowo festivities and focus on you as a member of parliament. It's your first time.
Yeah.
Before becoming an MP, what was your political portfolio? What other political position had you occupied?
I would have been asking you, what have you done about me on that regard? But I served as the
MC.
I served as the Metropolitan Chief Executive from November 2013 to December 2016. So of barely 3 years, 3 years, 1 month. And so, but I came to that office with some public sector work as a beza and also as a teacher, a trained teacher, and as an administrator, educational administrator. I moved on then that was for like a decade. And I moved on to the private sector where I worked in the bank for another decade before I have had my over a decade stints with the political arena. And so the people of Tema know me. They know me as one who once served them. And so I also have a very fair idea of what the topography, the demography, and the people of Tema would want. And especially so when I remain a testimonial to how people would reward hard work. And I want to always challenge people who think politics is all about money. No, it's first about the people. I mean, once it's about the people, they see through. The people know who is really about their interest. And when I say I am a testimonial, what I mean is that for 24 years, we had not won the seat. And I know my predecessors had also contributed, had laid foundation. But politics is a seasonal thing. If you don't do it right, you get it wrong and you punish for it. So I always would thank the people of Tema, especially Tema East constituency, for appreciating what we did when we served them in that capacity at the Metropolitan Assembly and rewarding the NDC and our presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama. In the 2020 election, John Dramani Mahama won, probably with a bigger margin than before. And so all sum up, I know the people are happy with what I've done. Personally, right. I have the benefit of reviewing what other MPs have done when I served as MP and by my research work to ensure that no two projects are the same, Every project is unique on itself. And so even for MPs who have come in Tema East, I do not want to measure by their standards. But of course, there are lessons to be learned from predecessors. But beyond that, we want to see what is the real need of the people. What is the
Before we get to the real need of the people, since you touched on your political career as the municipal chief executive, when I was doing Metropolitan, I beg your pardon, I chanced on this publication on Daily Graphic dated July 23, 2020. And it says, Tema East NDC candidate in hot waters. The reason was because you had embezzled funds to the tune of 5.7 million Ghana cedis. How true was that?
Oh, but I wouldn't be sitting here if I ever embezzled. But you see, the irony of some of these publications, for me, my pain, I got the opportunity to study outside the country. And I realized that the stock of knowledge and research work would want to leverage on quality publications and factual publications, and that will call to question what our media landscape looks like. And so for a publication like this, who would, if TMA, I ask three questions. Number one, if TMA lost or could not trace or had 5.7 million Ghana cedis embezzled, I would have thought that TMA must be up on their feet chasing for that money. And so if that didn't happen, probably everyone who is working at TMA should be charged for negligence, for not protecting the TMA's funds. But the truth is that TMA never lost that money. Number two, why was it that at the time it was the MP who I was contesting who that was you everywhere? Yeah, at the time. He was everywhere from Yoko, using state institutions with trumped up charges just to try and, take me out of the race and get in. Truth is always one. And in those days, I contended that for me, I would stand by the truth. I never even would go to anybody because I knew the fallacy of that publication. Finally, the matter actually went to court. We went to court, and today I have been a free man. So it's one publication that is so misleading. So, when you say prosecution, it's understandable. But these are things we see as persecution of political opponents.
Right, so you thought it was just a political gimmick.
That's what it is. If it wasn't so, they would have found a reason or answers to it.
Now, did this publication make you popular? Did it contribute to your victory in any way?
Of course, I may not understand all the dynamics, but for me, I wasn't even looking at the publication because, you see, the question is what prompted them to trump up such charges, and it's because they saw that it was not going well for them. Okay. So even before I accepted to truncate my study to take up the challenge of leading my revered, lovely, the best party, the National Democratic Party, I knew. Of course, my friends had thought that, hey, Tema is a no-go area for NDC, but I knew. Normally when I take up an assignment, I want to do it to the best of my ability. And this is one example that makes me praise my God even the more. I trust that the God factor has always been a strong factor that has propelled me. So I wouldn't ascribe my success or victory to the publication, except to say that what they meant for evil turned out to
be for your good. Yeah, absolutely. Now let's move away from all that happened and come to the 2020 elections. You emerged victorious, first time as a member of parliament. How has that been for you?
Oh, it's been interesting. Of course, we know parliamentary democracy also kind of recognizes continuity, and so usually you hear words like backbenchers, because normally the first-timers would sit on in the back two rows. It really doesn't matter much, except to say that as it is with every institution, one must be willing to learn the ropes. One must be willing to go through a certain process to acclimatize and to also acquaint with the happenings of the institutions. And so I do agree that first-timers would always be on the back bench to have a better view. And for me, it's also positive because when you see all the people speaking in front of you, it affords you a better, appreciation of what is happening than if people were standing behind you and talking. But even in the midst of that, I think that we've had some solid first-timers in Parliament. In some cases, you may not even know. It doesn't even show that these people are first-timers or not. And I'm grateful to both the former leadership and the current leadership for the opportunities they give us. But as we know, Parliament is rather the committee. We have the committee system. And so my admonition to viewers of parliamentary proceedings will be that Parliament work is more at the committee level. Okay. It's more at the committee level. And I'm happy to have served on the committees that I did serve on, and I'm happy for the opportunity I've had to speak on the plenary, on the floor, a couple of times. I've also been blessed to at least debate the budget. So, I mean, my experience as a first timer is a good one, and I believe that I'm going to add more to both the parliamentary work and also to my constituency with the second term that I very so much want, and I know the people have already given it to me.
I mean, since you have been a backbencher, you said it yourself.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you haven't had to do any lobbying work for your constituents?
Oh, I mean, the evidence on the grounds would tell you.
What is the evidence on the ground?
Yeah, in parliamentary work, you have the part that is well within your control, which is basically the funds. The statutory funds that are given. They are usually not for major projects, because when you look at the common fund formula for disbursement, the chunk of the statutory funds will go to state and state agencies like the assemblies. This year, for example, none of the funds gave more than 2% to the MPs. One was 1.62%, the other is 1.59%. I don't recall the NHIS, but I know the common fund, the total allocation to MPs was just 1.62. Yes, 1. Right. So you can't compare this with what goes to government and government activities so far as common fund, which is targeted at the district assemblies.
So if we are to translate this percentage to amounts of money, are you able to tell us the exact amount of money that you have received for some works in your constituency?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's for me, if you take Get Fund, for example, it's 100,000 for a whole year. Okay. And in a year, I have three.
And what are you able to do with this 100,000?
Yeah, so I can tell you that one of my projects, which is the Ashai Back to School project, for example, last year we served 354 students, and the
on which of the education levels?
For JHS heading into SHS, their first day into SHS. Okay. So we provide that as a support for the transitioning from JHS to S. Most JHS is day, and so when they're going to the boarding school, you want to support them, give them the supplies that will make them feel at home. At least for their first month in SHS, they must have that feel. And remember, my constituency is a very mixed constituency, both the low income and as the middle income. And so Ashai Back to School, for example, alone can be over 400,000 Ghana cedis. And so if you receive that, then you can't do any other thing. Right. But we do support the Metro Directorate for their administrative work. We do support students in the university with laptops, with their school support. Of course, we don't take up 100% of the school fees, but between 40 to 60% of their fees is supported. Our focus is usually the brilliant but needy. And I think that it's gone so well. So far, I can say over 250 people in the universities have received financial support in one way or the other. And we have distributed over 32 laptops to brilliant but needy children in the university. You take that out, even the JHS schools, we are very, very open to them. We are also very interested in teacher administration, where we train teachers within the so far, I've trained over 23 teachers. I've sponsored about 4 people to take on foreign programs that they become trainer of trainers, or trainers, and so for me, it's not about the quantum of money, it's about the leverage God has given me to be able to, mobilize to support my people. For example, under education, I got Flour Mill Ghana to put up a modern 100-seater canteen for a primary school that either two children sat on the floor, muddy places. And it's awesome, the support I'm getting in the area of education.
Right. You're still listening to Starr today here on Starr FM, and this is the campaign trail. And we are speaking to Tema East MP Isaac Ashai Odampton. We're also streaming live on Facebook at Starr FM. gmail.com, and your questions are welcome. You can send them to us via 055 288 0216 via WhatsApp. Now, let's still stay on what you say is on the ground. I know that earlier this year, you and the former president, Mahama, visited the Canoe London Beach. What did the fisher folk tell you?
They really welcomed His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and the reception does not only give hope, but the engagement has really promoted and solidarized with the fishing community. His Excellency has been president before, and we know what foundation we set for the fishing industry. I recall JM's launch of fishing gear and fishing implement support, where we gave fishing nets, we gave outboard motors, across the country. And
premix fuel.
We managed that better, far better. And JM assured them, and this is the forum at the London Beach where the fishermen themselves were testifying about JM's governance and the policies and how things were run. One person has to say that, look, we are fishermen. When government subsidizes premix for us, it is for our good. In the current administration, of course, during JM, the power was given to the London Beach Committee, which comprised the chief fishermen, the canoe owners, the fishmongers, and so stakeholders within the fishing sector were empowered to manage that which concerned them. Currently, what happens is when premix comes, they've created so many vending points or dumps, they call it, and the fuel is given to party apparatchiks, and then they hike the prices, they add their margins, and sometimes double what government has given just for them to make money out of this impoverished fishermen.
And what have you done about that?
I have raised questions on the floor. I have done press, and I'm mentioning it here. I thought that they will be sensitive enough to even stop. Already there is a commission on the sale of premix. That's what is worrying. The premix regime has a 47 and a 53%, margin that is allocated to the committee operators, those who operate, and then the community project. These, in addition to these profiteers have added their other margin, so they take the fuel, double the price, and sell it back to the fishermen. Why are the fishermen helpless? They are helpless because if they don't even take the high prices, they have to go and buy super, which is a higher price for vehicles, and then get oil, buy other things. So they are helpless. And the assurance from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has been and is that when he assumes power on the 7th of January 2025, he's going to give back to the landing beaches and they're going to manage their affairs. Again, he has assured them that the challenge of our sea and the sustainability of our sea is not in the total closure of the sea. It's in managing the hulls. If you are hauling and trolling and destroying the seabed, that is where the issue is. So he's promised that the industrial trawlers would have to free the waters for spawning and fish, regeneration. But the hook and line and smaller artisanal fishermen will have their day. After all, every Tuesday they don't go fishing, and so there's a rest period for our fishermen. And because theirs is peasant, we allow them, and that promise came from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
I see.
Yeah.
Did they also mention issues about the tidal waves?
They did, but again, that is one reason why they are yearning for the return of John Dramani Mahama. You recall in the 2014-2016, we had started the sea defense because, you see, tidal waves are not only effects of our internal or national activities. Some are global. Global warming, sea level rises, and all that would have their impact. But there are also other activities that may impact our coastlines. And so, in the wisdom of the NDC government and in the wisdom of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, we saw the sea defense project From if you go to Pute now, you will see there. You come to, but for the past 8 years, that has stalled, and we are seeing the harsh effects of sea level and tidal waves on our communities. And the sad story is that when these things happen, for institutions that are mandated to take care of our people, we don't. And yet, we are allowed to even concern ourselves with international or cross-border activities when our own people are hit by natural disasters such as tidal waves. And our current president has not shown leadership. Sometimes when these things have happened, the least we expect is for us to commiserate with the affected people and to meet them at least partially, because as a country, we have national disaster management organization that must always intervene. Today, when things like this happen, you see stout and blatant partisanship, that things that are meant to alleviate the pains of suffering Ghanaians would be diverted for party apparatchiks to control. And these and many reasons along the coastline is the reason why we're going to see a major support and vote for John Dramani Mahama and the NDC.
I see. Now, when we advertise this flyer, a few of my colleagues and friends put together some questions that they would like me to ask you. So one says that sanitation in communities, especially Site 2. Are you aware of that?
I'm very, very much aware. And I think that the people of Tema have not regretted bringing Ashai Odampton. What probably they now regret, and they keep wishing that JM comes. And many occasions in the Kampalans, they say JM,
they wish that JM would come.
Yeah, because
their sanitation issues are addressed.
No, because you see, that's why I'm saying that their disappointment is in the change that happened, because Tema had started the revamping of the 3 pumping stations in Tema. Okay, we had also initiated a process to redevelop the sewer infrastructure. Let me give you a bit of history. The sewer, so the sanitation issue in Tema is both liquid and solid. Okay, for the solid one, we had the landfill side in Pung, which has been poorly managed. At the time that we were supposed to start breaking it through recycling, for us to now break them and take them, government just continued just the piling, because there should be a program that now segregates waste, so that about 60% of the waste that we dump there should go back into the community. If it is plastics, we should begin to turn them around. If it's paper, we should begin. And that process had begun. I was part of a group that got were pushing for the Tema Sewer redevelopment. And we brought to life the 3 pumping stations and actually awarded contract for the examination of the corridors. So we had 2 consultants, maybe I'm not supposed to mention their names, but these consultants worked both in Comtiwan and Manhia to ensure that the sewer lines, and so they started, then we left power. Because these people, sometimes I marvel at the stark difference between their move for community development. I heard their slogan, Tema must shine again. Yet, when they took over, we had planted litter bins. I recall when I was in basic school in the mid-70s and late 70s, we had litter bins on our streets.
But I mean, for the purposes of time, you're saying that you instituted something to address the sanitary issues.
Yes.
And the NPP government failed to continue it.
It's gone bad.
Okay.
They've not sustained it. Okay. They've only given lips today. If you drive through Tema. And so what I did to solve or to help the situation was to publicly, at the General Assembly of that, to assure the assembly members on regular basis they must desilt, they must clean, and I support them financially.
Has that
yeah, they do.
On?
They do.
I see.
They do.
Let's fast track a bit. So we are headed for the 2024 general election, and as you said in your earlier submission, your friend told you that Tema East is not is a no-go area for the NDC. In fact, since 1996, the NPP has won about 6 times. You managed to win. Let's look at 2024. Before I even come to your response, the NPP insists that you only had a chance to win because there was division in the party. But this time on, since they have elected, they are on a united front. They are likely to reclaim the seats. How do you respond to that?
I don't think I'm even in a race with the one who says it is his time. But
I mean, isn't it possible
for them to get it back? Oh, GM said
because
it right.
you were a former MC.
Yeah.
He's also a current
And
MC.
that is why he should just sit somewhere. Because you see, my works as mayor will be compared to the works of the mayor. My works as MP will be compared to their regime work, MP's work. So the stage is so set. You take MPship. In my 3.5 or even say 4 years, I have retooled and refurbished 8 computer labs in the constituency. None. For their 8 years, they can't count. I recall in 2014 when they were going to their party primaries, they started a computer, foundation of a computer. It has taken them 10 solid years to complete that. Even that, they took it off the assembly to Coastal Development Fund for it to be done. So the difference is so clear. You go to the community, in just 1 year, we started 12-story building school infrastructure. 5 were completed and put to use. Children went into it. 5. And so the stage, I mean, for me, I know, I said this somewhere, that even 12 disciples, one went out. And so sometimes for obvious reasons, you may not get 100%. But I have not presented myself for the people, but I've just made them aware that the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, is a superior party. And here, let me make this issue about one of the secondary schools in. I have said everywhere that when it comes to educational infrastructure, the National Democratic Congress is second to none. Because the major schools in Tema now, if you take Tema Man here, when I mention NDC, I'm talking about the NDC and its antecedent, PNDC. And so Mahia is a product. Then I mentioned Our Lady of Mercy SHS, Olams. Olams was a private secondary school. But before we left office in 2020, we had granted absorption. So it became part of government schools. Elsewhere, because I have indicated that NDC was second, that this happened in the school, probably I did not communicate this clearly. But I recall Olam as a private school which the Catholic Church started, came under the domain of government during our time. But the most important thing to note is that even Mahia Secondary School NDC, boom, which is a next community, Mames E Block happened. Today they have a secondary school. You go to Lashibi, the next community, we put up a new secondary school, which is also E Block. So for me, the educational infrastructure in modern times, of course, we can credit Tema School and other secondary schools to others, but NDC is second to none. And this is why Tema is now green. Look, Tema East is falling for NDC. Tema West, where my brother, lawyer James Enu, is contesting, will fall for the NDC. Because lawyer Enu is not just a candidate, he is the people's man. This man is so selfless and so committed to the development of Tema. And I know the kind of network he has and the kind of partnership we are seeing, Tema is rising under John Dramani Mahama and Enu. Tema Central has been a difficult place, but Abby Bright, our candidate, for the past 2 elections has gained rich experience. And I see her strides now, and I'm confident that we're going to turn the entire Tema green in the 2024 elections.
You are clearly here to represent the whole of Tema, but let's pause and take some comments on Facebook. And here, Kekle Atagba says that we are really happy with the work you've done and we will retain you. The Shadrach Latte Odumting says the game changer, father for all, he's everywhere like MTN. Eric Buster says the game changer, Ashai Odumting, is now a household name. Now, Daniel Kwe Amasa says Tema East is in safe hands of Honorable Isaac Ashai Odumting. Goodman Prince says the Messiah of Tema East. And Daniel says that Honorable Isaac Ashai of Danso is a visionary man, and we are retaining him for Tema East to continue his good work. I'll take the final one. And Enoch Futu says, the blowman of Tema East, the visionary leader, we all vote for you to continue the works you have been doing. Ashai Twaso. Now, in 2020, you put about 56% roughly of the votes. What are you targeting for 2024?
I would agree with my constituency chairman that our minimum should be 60% of the vote.
You are so confident.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you see, politics should not be about the self. It should be about the people. Because when you have touched the children, every year, it's not just the election year, every year, we have programs that develop talents. Today, I'm happy that 6 of the young ones under 10 who participated in Kiddie Fest in Tema, one of my projects, they went through the children's talent discovery, and today they are on kids programs. On most of them, over 6 of them are performing so well. I'm happy to be creating the platform, but my joy, let Ghanaians and let the people of Tema East know that our democracy must reflect the people. When John Dramani Mahama ascends the throne, they would see a replication and a multiplication of what we did in our last administration. John Dramani Mahama's victory would be a victory for Tema, because the kind of infrastructure support we're going to do under John Mahama's big push, and the kind of employment opportunities that would come for our young ones under the 24-hour economy, I am so clear in my mind that these, coupled with the right environment, Ghana would have to deal with the issue. Many people are struggling to believe that NDC can turn the fortunes of, yes, but I am so confident, because you see, most of the things we are seeing today is waste. The people are investing in waste. The state resources are being channeled into individual pockets, and I believe that it will take the leadership of John Dramani Mahama to just level the grounds, and every Ghanaian would see the benefit of the leadership of John Dramani Mahama. As I speak with you, I believe that the 24-hour economy, the zone or the area where it will be felt most will be the Tema area, because the companies are there. And I recall in 2016 when we gave support to the pharmaceutical industries, that support is going to look, but this time we are saying that whatever support we are giving you is to help you. It's not necessarily financial, but it's to provide you with what would make your business thrive, such that you'll be able to double your shift or triple your shift.
Let me take a pause here, and it is just 122 days to the general election. As you may be aware, in about a minute, talk to the people of Tema East why they should retain you.
Tema East, you've seen the second part of Ashai, where he served you as MP. He's touched your children, he's touched your adolescents in JHS, he's touched your secondary school students, he's touched your university students, he's touched the aged. And so through the Senior Citizens Day, Ashai has touched you in infrastructure. He's looked at your water situation, especially the Bankuman enclave. In our next agenda, we want to have the water reservoirs across all the electoral areas. And already I have 3 projects going on, supported by my former bank. They are putting up water storage in 3 schools, Anglican, Manhia, and Ajeti Ansa. So Ashai will take care of the infrastructure. We started the Industrial City Basic School. For 8 years, nothing has happened. Ashai will bring back the shine of Tema. Under sanitation, we have started with segregation in our schools. It's not been perfected because the government support and the institutional support is not there. Our waste situation will change. I shared this with a friend that I have a simple one where I get cakes of soap or bar soap, and I put a tent somewhere that go to the, if you need soap to bath or to use in your home and you don't have money to buy, I'll just ask you, go bring 100 boxes from the beach, 100 bottles, empty bottles, just to take the waste from the beach. Bring it. I give you the soap. Then I convey it. I've already identified an off-taker in Ashaiman and Afienya area. We convey it there. They use it. If they like, they should not pay. All I want is to take the refuse of my community. And so everything that we ought to do in this in this regime we have done under security. Trust me, as MP, I have been mayor before and I know what people did. As MP, I'm putting up a 2-story police station, fire service station. We're already close to roofing that in just 1 year. In just 1 year. I have already refurbished and expanded the Luboya police station. So when you talk about security in Tema, I also believe that the neighborhood watch committees are going to be essential in how we promote security within our constituency. And so groups that have come up, I know now sometimes you need state support. And so groups like Aoya, groups like Asafo, groups like our ghetto, we have a lot of ghettos, about 187 ghettos in Tema. And my assurance to all of you, I know you've seen the work, but the greater part of the work is coming under John Dramani Mahama and Ashai partnership. We are the perfect pair.
Absolutely. Your constituents have heard you. Thank you so much. You just heard me engaging the Member of Parliament for Tema East, Isaac Ashai Odampton. He's been touting his plans for Tema East. The decision will be entirely up to you. You just heard me engaging the Member of Parliament for Tema East, Isaac Ashai Odampton. But let's remain on the campaign trail and election 2024. And the Institute for Economic Affairs, IEA, has announced it will hold presidential debate in October and November 2024. The Institute says it will hold 2 presidential debates, respectively, in Kumasi and Accra for flag bearers, selected based on electoral criteria to be set and announced by the Institute. The debates will provide candidates the opportunity to articulate their policies and
their candidates. But of course, that process takes time. So you cannot wait until you have engaged fully with everybody. We have a timetable to meet. So that's why we came out to announce our intention to organize a debate. Of course, we all saw the reaction from the NDC. Apparently, because our announcement followed the Vice President's call, the current Vice President, call for a debate with the NDC candidate. Somehow, the NDC suggested that we were doing the bidding of the MPP. But we issued a rejoinder, denying this and saying that we were following our own program. So if it followed the Vice President's call, it was just a mere coincidence. But we must say that since then, we have been engaging with them on the quiet. We don't have to do everything in the media space. We've been engaging with them, and we are hoping that all of them will participate. That is our hope.
Well, you just heard Dr. John Kwabna Kwachip, the Director of Research for the IEA. Meanwhile, the distinguished fellow of the IEA and former Chief Justice, her ladyship, Justice Sophia Ikufu, on her part said the institute will ensure the debate is credible and not to favor any political party.
Throughout the history of these pre-election debates, IEA only plays the role of an honest broker. The IEA is completely devoid of any partisanship in whatever it organizes, in all the work it does, and particularly with this series, with these series that we have been doing since 2000. IEA is a forum, provides the opportunity, sets the stage, sets the questions, and whoever is invited to participate, if they choose to participate, is going to get a fair shake. It was rather sad that such an accusation should even be thrown at IEA, and that's what I want.
Sophia Ekufu is a former Chief Justice. Now, let's end the campaign trail in the Upper East region, where flag bearer of the opposition NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has concluded his campaign tour in the Upper East region as part of his bid to become the next president of Ghana. But during his visit, he emphasized the NDC's commitments to regional development and policies for job creation through the 24-hour economy policy. Hanan Abdul Adam has the details in this report.
Are you ready for 7th December?
The former president, John Dramani Mahama, has wrapped up his campaign tour after visiting 32 communities across 15 constituencies. The tour culminated into a mini Durbar at the Ramsey Stadium in the Borgastanga Central constituency, where he addressed an enthusiastic crowd, igniting hope for a better future after the December 7 elections.
Where Ghana is, we need an experienced driver to move the car out of the ditch, put it back on the road, and drive us safely to our destination.
Throughout his tour, the NDC flag bearer outlined his vision for the country at every stop, emphasizing why he believes the electorate should choose him over his opponent.
Bawumia cannot investigate Akufo-Addo's government. Bawumia cannot investigate a government of which he was part of. And so they are desperate to have him so that they'll escape the day of accountability. That is not going to happen.
His message focused on economic revitalization, job creation, and social infrastructure development, promising a new direction for Ghana.
In addition to our infrastructure record and what we're coming to do in infrastructure, our priority is going to be jobs, jobs, and jobs. Our priority is going to be about employment. And that is why we're coming with the 24-hour economic policy. Because the 24-hour economy policy is going to incentivize businesses to work for longer hours. Now, if businesses are working for longer hours, they cannot use just the number of employees they have. They have to add additional employees.
Campaign spokesperson Joyce Bawa Muktari expressed confidence that the electorate will endorse Mahama. The electorate would endorse John Mahama in the December polls, highlighting the positive reception and support observed during the tour.
You know, I have watched, I have followed the conversations. I am convinced, judging by the repertoire of broken promises in this region, that the raison d'etre for which people would nominate or elect to vote for John Dramani Mahama and, of course, Nana Jino Pokwajima will largely be because, first and foremost, they are trustworthy, they are an experienced pair, they are credible.
With election date approaching, all eyes will be on how his campaign strategies will evolve. For GH1 News, Abdul Hanan Adam, Bolga.
My colleague Abdul Hanan Adam there with that report. But that wraps up campaign trail on your election hub.
today. First, fast, and credible.
You're still listening to Starr today here on Starr FM. Let's do business now. And ride-hailing app Bolt Ghana has reiterated commitments of ensuring welfare and safety of drivers. Well, this follows a recent call by some stakeholders in the transport sector for better remuneration and improved working conditions. As part of efforts of ensuring couriers unwind, Bolt Ghana has organized the second edition of its Soccer Fiesta competition for over 200 drivers here in Accra. Acting Country Director for Bolt Ghana, Henry White, in an interview with Star Business, said they are committed to supporting the well-being of drivers.
So this is what we term or call the Bolt Soccer Fiesta. It's an annual event where we bring all our drivers together to have fun through games like the soccer, board games, and all that. These drivers have been driving, for hours, year on year, month on month, right? And this is just picking one day, out of the 365 days for them to come, unwind, do some, activities, just to also keep fit, right? Some of them, like I mentioned earlier, drive for very long hours without, having to do any exercise. So they drive, they go back to bed, wake up in the morning, and then go back to driving again, right? So this is just to also sort of support with their health and well-being, right? Making sure that they are healthy, they are fit to keep on working, bringing them together to network, to connect, to know one another, to share ideas. For us to also support them, we have some of these drivers who haven't been able to, maybe reach out to us for one or two reasons. So this also serves as a medium for them to meet us, physically, engage us, get to know their concerns, their grievances, and then support them.
Henry White is the country director for Bolt Ghana. Let's now switch and do sports, and my colleague Benjamin Yamwa is here with the latest in sports. Benghazi, Honorable Benghazi, good evening.
Good evening to you, Tutuwaa. Now in sports, and the GFA has approved protocols participation in a prestigious international friendly game with DC United fixed now for October 12 at the Audi Field Stadium in Washington, D.C. The annual ceremonial match being put together by the Ghana Tourism Authority is in collaboration with the GFA, and it forms part of activities to mark Ghana Week in D.C. for this year. The matchup between the two historic teams will magnify the celebration of Ghanaian culture in Washington, D.C. in the state. Now, meanwhile, Kodoko's manager, Dr. Prosperity Ogum, says he's impressed with the quality of the new players recruited for the upcoming campaign in the Ghana Premier League.
I think they are very good players. Technically, they are very good. They are able to exhibit the basics in the game, the basic and the advanced technical characteristics of the positions that they play. They are comfortable on the ball. They are fast. They are strong on the ball, and you can see that they are very, very confident as individual players and as a group. So I'm happy. I tracked them, and then I've been able to get them. I think they are going to give us a new face with respect to our performance. So I'm happy we've gotten them. If you look at some of the individual players, they are players that I think they themselves as supporters were having them in mind, thinking, hoping and praying that the coach will also be able to identify them. And fortunately, I think our thoughts and their thoughts also met, and we'll be able to bring these players on board. If you look at a player like Emmanuel Entry, he's one of the favorites of the fans.
And that's Coach Professor Nateo Ogum, the coach of the Porcupine Warriors. Let's go on to Paris for the Olympic Games. An Australian hockey player, Tom Craig, has apologized after being released from custody in Paris following his arrest for allegedly buying cocaine. Now, the Paris prosecutor's office said an individual was arrested on Tuesday night for buying cocaine in the night arrondissement. In Paris. Now, Craig was released with a warning and did not receive a fine. Now, as he left the police custody this evening, Craig issued an apology for his actions, saying, and I quote, "I'd firstly like to apologize for what has occurred in the last 24 hours. I made a terrible mistake. I take full responsibility for my actions. My actions are my own and in no way reflect the values of my family, my teammates, my friends, my sports, and the Australian Olympic team. I've embarrassed you all, and I'm truly sorry, end of quote. Now, Craig won silver medal in Tokyo the last time round and has made over 100 appearances for Australia. The prosecutor's office said earlier that police officers who witnessed a cocaine transaction at the foot of a building in Paris on a night of August 6th and 7th apprehended the seller and the buyer, who is said to be a member of the Australian hockey field team, which is of course now known as a Craig. Now, Australia's men and women hockey teams are both knocked out at the ongoing championship being held in Paris, and that should be it for us.
But do we have some details about the medal table?
Well, of course, I mean, it's now USA who are on top. They're taking over the summit of the table, and it looks as though they are not turning back, because if you look at how they are grabbing medals now all over, I think the likes of China and Australia and also France have a lot of work if they want to catch up with the Americans, because they've taken over the top, and they really, really are flying the high.
With over 80 medals, I guess.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much, Benghazi, for those sports updates there. Let's switch focus and go to the foreign front for some updates. And Democrats' vice presidential candidate choice, Governor Tim Walz, has delivered his first speech after being picked by Kamala Harris as her vice presidential candidate ahead of the November election. Now, poised in his speech, the running mate took swipes at ex-President Donald Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, daring him to a debate.
Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
You just heard there, Governor Tim Walz. And that wraps up Starr Today for this evening. Thank you very much for your company. For more news updates, do log on to starfm.com.gh. I am Tutuwaa Danso.